Hey, it's Anthony with Land Title. I wanted to bring you our Boulder County update for the month of August. This is the big update. So lots going on here. As you can see, the inventory situation is starting to turn just a little bit. That's our green line here at the top. You can see that it's starting to slow down, and I think there's a lot going on here. So we got to read into this just a little bit. The under contracts and the solds are starting to rise a little bit again into the month of August from July, so that's a good sign. But I don't think that's what's bringing down the inventory levels. You can see that something has had to come off the market a little bit because we still have more listings coming to market than we have sales or we have under contracts, but the new listings coming to market are still more than those numbers as well. So we're definitely seeing a fall shift that's starting to occur. So that's a really good sign. One of the biggest takeaways here is the fact that we have 800 active units. It's the most we've had in a while outside of last month. So that rising inventory, but we're only at about 2 months of inventory on the market. Now, year to date, we're down about 20% in solds. That shouldn't really shock anyone because the last 2 years were pretty much abnormal, right? And so we're trying to get back to normal again. Well, that being said, we're still up about 18% year over year on our average sales price in Boulder County. So the market is still very, very hot. Now, here's one of the things that I wanted to talk a little bit about. And you got to look a little bit into our sub markets here in the Boulder County area because year over year, the active units are actually down in the city of Boulder. That's a big part of what's happening because not all markets are created equal right now. Now you look out places like, Superior. Superior has inventory starting to really pile up. And that's becoming a little bit of an issue because certain markets are starting to have inventory sit. Other markets like Erie have a lot coming on the market, but they have a lot getting sold. So where does that leave us? It leaves us at around just 2 months of inventory or so. That 2 months of inventory is, a few weeks above where we were last year, but nowhere near where we were in the past. So in order for us to get to a balanced market, we really need to be somewhere around 4 months of inventory. So being that we're entering a fall market, expect inventory to kind of trickle off or stay pretty steady for the next few months. Now, the big thing that we need to discuss is our buyers are starting to slow down their decision making, right? It's taking a little bit longer for properties to go under contract. So when you're working with buyers or sellers, setting those at proper expectations is really important. Just because the city of Niwot had an 8-day time on market last month, other places like Superior are seeing 36 days, which is more like 5 weeks. So some markets are moving faster than others, but as a whole, Boulder County is seeing 25.5 days. Is that a problem? No, 2 years ago, we were seeing it over 30 days all the time. So just kind of reevaluating and resetting those expectations as we go through the month. Now, basically our sales by price point and our under contracts by price point are clipping along pretty well. The luxury market is still just booming. That's something in Boulder County that is pretty unique. The fact that we still have 10 solds over 3+ million, 12 solds from 2.5 to 3 million. There's a lot of luxury activity up there. Now, when you get to the 1 to 2 range, you're seeing a lot of activity there as well. Now, the bulk of the market is under that though. So that bulk of the market is starting to slow and compress, and that's where we're feeling the change. A lot of that is due to interest rates, right? It's getting more expensive to borrow money, so those monthly payments are a lot more expensive than they would have been, beginning of the year this year. So that's why sales in the lower price points are going down. The luxury price points are a lot less affected by interest rates, right? Because a lot more people pay cash, or they are mostly cash, right? Or partially cash. So in that respect, that's kind of how it's shifting. Now, how much is it shifting? You can really see here the inventory levels are starting to add up across all price ranges, especially up in the luxury market. We're up to 7.5 months of inventory, 3+ million, and they're taking about 50 days to go under contract. Pre-COVID, this is still a bargain if you look at 2019 to current. So back in 2019, we might have been sitting at 12 to 18 months at any given time throughout the year. This is still a really favorable market. A balanced market doesn't occur until that 4 months range or so, and you really have to get to 2.5 million plus before we really start to see that. Now, compared to 1 week of inventory, which we were seeing at 400,000 or 500,000 a while ago, to now we're at 5 or 6 weeks of inventory, that's really starting to create that change there, right? Inventory is adding up mainly because we have a lot less buyers in the marketplace due to those rising interest rates. But homes are still turning over pretty quickly, call it 20, 25 days, right? So in those lower price points, it's still really competitive. Now, is it as competitive as it was before? Absolutely not, but that's okay. Now, if we move into the solds, this is where you really want to take a look. I said we were down 20% year to date. One of the big changes is where is that taking place, right? So the city of Boulder is down 20% over the last 12 months. Now, or year to date, we can look at our year to date figures here. Year to date, we're only down 10%. Now, if we look year to date at some of the other places like Louisville at the Marshall Fires, right? So they're down almost 40%. The city of Superior is only down 16%. So even though it's climbing inventory quickly, this year has been really pretty good for it. Now, some of the other markets that I think are worth talking about are places like Erie, because Erie is the other extreme, up 28% in total sales, and that's largely due to more inventory coming on the market. Lots of pent-up demand in places like Erie that we haven't been able to fill for 5+ years. Average sales price. This is where we kind of want to look at a longer term trend. Over the last 12 months, we've seen it increase by 14.5% in Boulder County. Now, is it bouncing around a little bit? Yes, the composition of sales is changing quite a bit. So that's why I really like that trailing 12-month number. But the city of Boulder is still at 1.2 million average sales price. That's quite a bit up from this time last year, about 20%. Places like Niwot, you got to take those numbers with a grain of salt because they bounce around every month. Then those markets that are much smaller, they're starting to see a bunch of shifts. Now, places like Longmont, really similar sized market to Boulder, is only up 5% right now. So certain markets are changing at different paces, but it's also largely due to how much luxury is being sold, how much cash is coming into these markets, and more affordable price points have suffered a little bit more with these rising interest rates. If you look at this one, this is a better explanation of just a visual way to see how much the market slowed this year. So the market is off about 20% like we talked about. You could see that the summer months took the biggest hit. July really took a slowdown, a lot more than we would have expected. I would expect us to have a pretty similar fall where we're off about 20% per month. And you can really see that in the numbers, how we've been trending. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about is this percentage sold price to list price. So this is really like how competitive the market is. In a detached family home, on average, we're at 99.2% listed sale price. Now, that looks like it's way down from where we were this year, which the bidding wars have decreased, right? But we're just finally getting back into a more normalized market. Some years in the past, over the last decade, haven't even hit 99.2% in the peak of the market in that April or May timeframe. So this is a really good sign where we're starting to see this feel more like a fall market. Even last year, you saw the fall market slow down quite a bit, less bidding wars, more just competition. It's going to feel a lot like 2020 or 2019, where the fall market is just a little bit slower. It's a little bit easier to get under contract. So if you're working with buyers, great time to do that. Even though interest rates are higher, they have a lot less competition in the marketplace. I'm Anthony at Land Title. If you have any other questions on the market or need other submarket data, please reach out to me. Talk to you next time.